Sylvester Stallone once said, "Winning is not measured by the number of times you get knocked down, but by the number of times that you get back up." In the December 2005 issue of Voices from the Middle, Mike Marchese writes that Ali never backed down from a challenge, fearing no one. Ali was undefeated his first 31 fights. On January 17, 1942, in Louisville, Kentucky, Muhammad Ali was born Cassius Marcellus Clay Jr. Nobody knew that at the age of 12, Clay's bike would be stolen and what would motivate him to start up an interest in boxing. That in turn brought about a meeting between Clay and a local boxing trainer that would begin working with young Clay in the gym. And that would lay the foundation for him to become one of the greatest boxing champions of all time. Later, after turning pro, Clay would become a black Muslim and change his name to Muhammad Ali. As some of us may have experienced in our own lives, when something that belongs to you has been stolen, we get angry and often want revenge or to fight back. This was a young Clay's thought process exactly after his bike was stolen. Since I was a young boy, I have had a passion for the sport of boxing. My grandfather was a professional fighter in the 1940s, and I myself was an amateur boxer competing in the Silver Gloves in the mid-1990s. I have researched the great champions of today and the past, their memorable bouts, and the things that made them some of the most heralded boxers in boxing history. Muhammad Ali is considered as one of the greatest boxers in boxing history due to his skills inside the ring, his charismatic personality, and his ability to maintain his fame well into his retirement. To have a better understanding of what made Muhammad Ali one of the greatest boxers in the history of the sport, I will first discuss his skills inside the ring. Muhammad Ali's skills inside the ring made him one of the greatest boxers to grace the sport. In 1960, Ali won a spot on the Olympic boxing team and went on to win the gold medal for the United States of America. In 1971, after a long hiatus from the sport of boxing, where his boxing license was suspended, he came back to face the then champion Joe Frazier in what was billed the fight of the century. Ali would lose a close decision in that fight, but would go on in 1974 to fight George Foreman, who was then champion for the heavyweight title, in Zaire, Africa, in a fight that was billed the Rumble in the Jungle. Ali predicted that he would knock Foreman out in the 9th round. Ali made good on his prediction and did exactly that, knocking the then champion George Foreman out in the 9th round and regaining his title for the 3rd time. Now that we have discussed Ali's skills inside the ring, let us now take a look at his charismatic personality and the role it played in his boxing career. Muhammad Ali's charismatic personality in and out of the ring also made him one of the greatest boxers in the history of boxing. In his book, Redemption Song, Mike Marchese writes, "Is there a more charismatic figure of the 1960s than Muhammad Ali? Playful, political, populist and nonconformist, defiant and triumphant." Ali was never at a loss for words. His interviews with the great Howard Cosell would fascinate and grab the attention of viewers with the predictions about his fights. Ali also liked poetry and would make poems about some of his opponents that he would soon be facing, like he did with Joe Frazier before their fight, The Thriller in Manila. Now that we have looked at Ali's skills inside the ring and his charismatic personality, lastly, let's take a look at Ali's ability to maintain his fame well into his career. According to the website biography.com, despite the progression of Parkinson's disease, Ali remains active in public life. He embodies the true meaning of a champion with his tireless dedication to the causes he believes in. In 1996, Ali was selected to carry the torch for the United States in the opening of the Olympic Games in Barcelona, France. Ali said that it was one of his greatest achievements in his life. Also in 2005, Ali received the Presidential Medal of Freedom from President George W. Bush at the White House. President Bush would go on to say that Ali was one of the greatest fighters of his generation and that he deserved to be awarded the Presidential Medal of Honor. In summary, Muhammad Ali's skills, championship charisma, and his ability to maintain his fame and popularity well into his career made him one of the greatest boxers to ever grace the squared circle. In all of Ali's greatness, however, in my own personal opinion, Ali is not the greatest boxer in the history of the sport. I would have to argue that the only man to ever retire undefeated and as the heavyweight champion of the world by the name of Rocky Marciano gets that title.